These hindrances can be dealt with skillfully if we have achieved sati and sampajanya, mindfulness and clear comprehension, clear awareness of what's happening. With that, we can apply our awareness to the hindrances as they arise, and we can purify our minds of these hindrances. As we do that, life gets a lot better. There's a joy in overcoming these hindrances. We're finally free of that which has been obstructing us, and it's magnificent. Please know that this is really possible. These aren't just words written in a book, published for profit or something. There's a real possibility of deep joy here. And this section invites us to explore that. Here, now again, I'm going to read it just as it is here, which is all has he in it. That's how this particular text is written. But know that it refers to any serious practitioner. This text is just one that was given to the monks. Here, bhikkhus, a bhikkhu resorts to a secluded resting place, the forest, the root of a tree, a mountain, a ravine, a hillside cave, a charnel ground, a jungle thicket, an open space, a heap of straw. So this is very significant that now that we are entering meditation, true meditation, that nature is taken to be so important. It's why it's good, I think, even though we lost so much benefit from being close to the community in Burlington, something that we grieved about we're still grieving, so for years. Despite that, it made sense for a lot of different reasons to come all the way out here into the Northeast Kingdom of Vermont, where there's nothing but nature, to do this deep practice. We have such a beautiful place here. It's very important that we take advantage of it, that we get outside, that we appreciate the astonishing beauty, and that we use that to inspire our efforts. Of course, these aren't the only places. In other texts, a few other possibilities are mentioned, including, for example, the zendo, or a hermitage, an empty hut. There are lots of different possibilities. In any case, the space should be set up specifically for practice. On returning from his alms round after his meal, he sits down, folding his legs crosswise, setting his body erect, and establishes mindfulness before him. Now, it's important that it begins with this, because so often we think, I'm going to fight against myself and force this to happen. But notice, what is the beginning? It starts with, on returning from his alms round after his meal. Now, that, in those few words, a lot of information is given. It's not just about food. It's about take care of yourself. Make sure you're healthy. Be sure that you're in a good position to do this practice. It's saying, we're not suggesting that you just destroy yourself here. On the contrary, first be sure that you care for yourself, and then having done that, you're in a position to move forward. This is caring for ourselves in all kinds of ways, of course. It's physically with alms round. It's other forms of physically. You want to have shelter and clothing and such, medicine. It's also emotionally. You take care of yourself emotionally. That's why we discussed that previously in the section on food. You're taking care of yourself emotionally. You're sure that you're nourished emotionally as well. So after all that happens, we're in a position. That's why we have this Phoenix program. After that process has happened, he sits down, folds his legs crosswise, which isn't necessary, but the point is we have a stable base of our posture. Setting his body erect, that means that we establish an appropriate posture in the upper part of our body. So it's the lower part of our body is stable, upper part of our body is spry and light. And then establishes mindfulness before us. That's what we do. We establish mindfulness right here. Mindfulness is then established. Of course, we've already done it. We already have the skill of mindfulness, but we intentionally do that in this case. We establish mindfulness. And then we jump into this amazing, marvelous journey, don't we? Abandoning covetousness for the world. Yes. Isn't that beautiful? Just right there. It's already beautiful. We've talked about covetousness and grief. In this particular text, we have the same term as before. So we have parimukam satim upatapetva, which establishes mindfulness. Literally, parimukha means in front of your face. So before ourselves, we establish mindfulness. So abhijam, this covetousness, loke. So abhijam loke means the world, in the world. So covetousness for the world, regarding the world. Pahaya, we abandon, get rid of. This he abides, viharati, cetasa, this mind, vigata bijane, jena. So that means without the sense of covetousness. Our mind has that characteristic, cetasa viharatu, we abide there. In that way, we purify our minds of covetousness, of that grasping on, that desire to acquire. This is the beginning. We abandon the sense of covetousness, of desire for sensual objects. We go through the process of purifying our minds of that. This is amazing. And we can sit down and we can work on this, purifying our minds of that. And we can notice that when we do get involved in those stories, it's just the perfect opportunity. Because typically what we're doing is we're imagining, oh, I wish things were different. I wish I was in a perfect place with perfect people, and I also had the internal characteristics of perfection. If I was in that circumstance, then I could practice. Unfortunately, I'm in this circumstance where things are not perfect, there's not a perfect place, I'm not with perfect people, nor am I perfect. So therefore, it's very difficult to practice. But we don't notice that it's precisely because of all that we can practice. It's because of each of those things coming up, causing us to have this clinging sense to, I wish things were this other way. 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 That we can identify that quality of mind. The I wish things were this other way turns out to be a quality of our minds. It's independent of our circumstances. It's just a quality of our minds. And we can prove this by changing our circumstances and noticing, I wish things were a different way still comes up. We go to this place, we wish things were different. We go to that place, we wish things were different. We keep on wishing things were different until we notice, wait, the sense that things ought to be different is independent of things. It's a quality of my own mind. Well, this is actually extremely empowering because it's not so easy to make the entire world the way we want it to be. It turns out to be much easier to purify our mind of that quality. It gives us power. We have power then because we can actually do something right now. We can purify our mind of that quality, of longing, of desire for something in the world. We go further to this ill will and hatred. Abandoning ill will and hatred, he abides with a mind free from ill will, compassionate for the welfare of all living beings. He purifies his mind from ill will and hatred. It's magnificent. We notice there's ill will, but it's possible to abandon that. We think, oh, can't stand that person. Why do they have to be like that? They should be different. I wish the person who they are would be destroyed and replaced with a different person. This is ill will. I wish you weren't like that. Why can't you be a different person? The person who you are shouldn't exist. This is deep ill will. And bad news, Sorry. Bad news, we often apply that to ourselves. We think, I shouldn't exist. I should be destroyed. That's what Buddhism really says. It talks about non-self. And non-self doesn't mean the realization of freedom from a limited self. Non-self means that who I am should be annihilated. That's what it means. The Buddha was saying, I'm bad. And if I were just destroyed, the world would be a better place. That's actually how we interpret it. Again, it's amazing because nothing like that is anywhere in the canon. But we think it is because our tendency towards ill will is searching for evidence to justify its position. And it will take anything. Anything at all. Anything. Just consider it. Someone says, I love you. We turn that into, oh, I'm not worthy of love because I'm terrible. I should be destroyed. We'll take anything and it'll turn it into that until we notice, wait, it's not about them saying, I love you. It's not even about them saying, I hate you. It's about a quality of my own mind. That can be directly released right now. How? By bringing up compassion instead. It's a feasible step. And we're empowered, deeply empowered. We continue on. Abandoning sloth and torpor, he abides free from sloth and torpor. Percipient of light, mindful and fully aware, he purifies his mind from sloth and torpor. We have the sense of sloth and torpor. We think, oh, it's because we're sitting for so long, and oh, it's because the schedule is so hard. I know it is. I'm sorry. It is hard. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you, more or less. You know, laughing sort of with, near you. I'm laughing around you. Laughing here while you're there. Because, I mean, come on. I'm sorry, but I know people who carry rocks on their head for 12 hours a day for $1. I actually know people who do that. So I know it's kind of hard to sit on soft cushions all day long with food prepared for you and a nice bed at night for several hours. And these, do you know why they work for that? So that they can go home with the $1, go shopping for food, cook for their entire family, and then get less sleep than we get here before getting up and carrying rocks for 12 hours. I mean, this is real. This is the reality, okay? And I know it's kind of hard. We have a kind of a hard life here. It's not as easy as some lives, maybe, but it's pretty close. This is just about as comfortable as it gets. So I know it's hard. It is hard. We're doing hard work. It's difficult. But if we're tired, it's not because of the circumstances. That's all I'm saying. Okay, we could be tired. It could be hard to work through these hindrances. We're doing good work. We should be proud. We're doing great. Keep it up. And if you're tired, it's not because of the schedule. It's because we have this internal quality of exhaustion that's already present in our minds that will make use of anything to justify itself. It's actually true, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the attitude that most of us carry. That's the reality. Abandoning restlessness and remorse, he abides unagitated with a mind inwardly peaceful. He purifies his mind from restlessness and remorse. This agitation and anxiety, we believe that it's because of our circumstances. I'm worried about that, and I'm worried about that. The issue is that we have a tendency to just be worried. And circumstances don't have much of an impact on that. And there's plenty of evidence for this. If we have the nature to be anxious, then we're going to be anxious about whatever it is. I mean, I don't want to out her on this, but I'm going to anyway because I think it's the right thing to do. Tata grew up in a war. She was in a war. They were constantly fleeing. She then went to a refugee camp where she, as a child, this is when she was a child, got her way out of that refugee camp. And you should know, 95% of people who enter a refugee camp don't get out. She got herself out of there, came here without speaking English, went to high school, where she was more or less alone. She learned English fast enough and well enough to get into Middlebury College, which is one of the best institutions of learning in the world, the hardest to get into in the world. She then succeeded there. She did great, and she graduated. Okay? That's what she did by the age of 23. I mean, because she was captured. She escaped when she was 8. Just think about that for a second. She escaped from people who had captured her to kill her when she was 8. And when she talks about Americans being anxious, she just can't help but kind of say, it's amazing that they don't realize that it has nothing to do with their situation. It's all in their mind. Their situation is not stressful, but they can't see it. It's amazing. She's just sort of enthralled by the American phenomenon. Because we all believe, if this thing would change, I'd feel better. She just says, obviously you wouldn't. Things are as good for you as anyone. That's not the issue. The issue is that you have the quality of anxiety functioning in your mind. Face that and you'll escape from it. If you don't face that, you're going to have trouble. Look at that directly. And notice any resistance you have to looking at that directly. Because that right there is the anxiety. Abandoning doubt, he abides having gone beyond doubt. Unperplexed about wholesome states, he purifies his mind from doubt. This doubt is being confused about what's right and wrong. But actually, we know what's right and wrong. We've already gotten here in this text. We're perfectly aware of what's right and wrong. And yet, we enter that again. We perplex ourselves about wholesome states. What should I do? What should I not do? For example, now we've discussed this. We've demonstrated that these are qualities of our minds that we can abandon. And yet we wonder, but should I abandon them? I mean, I don't know. I could abandon them, but then again, I might not. If I do abandon them, that would be good. But if I don't abandon them, that might be good. So maybe I won't abandon them. I guess I could, though. I mean, I'm sitting here in retreat. But then again, that seems like maybe something that I can't do. But they say I can do it, so maybe I should do it. I don't really want to do it. This is this constant, endless doubt. We can't take a course of action because we can't clarify this is the right action to take right now. And yet it's possible for us to notice, and this is extremely empowering, to notice the act of doubting. There's an act of perplexing ourselves. There's an act of complicating things so that we can't see things clearly. There's a moment when our minds turn things into something difficult to understand. That is actually an act of our minds. And we, with the mindfulness and full awareness, can directly perceive that. We see, there it is. That's doubt. And the moment that's seen clearly, there's no doubt. It's seen. The doubt is seen for what it is. And we can't be trapped by it anymore. And we've purified our minds of doubt. And the last part of the text that we will, the last part of the section on the hindrances is about the joy that comes. The incredible joy that comes from overcoming the hindrances. Suppose, and again, this is in the male, apologize, but last time we had something different, so work with this for today. Suppose a man were to take a loan and undertake business, and his business were to succeed so that he could repay all the money of the old loan, and there would remain enough extra to maintain a wife, which is to say, a livelihood. Then on considering this, he would be glad and full of joy. Now, this is something that we here might resonate with a great deal, because we've taken out a loan, and it's very burdensome. It's very difficult. We're constantly responsible to people who expect us to pay it back. It's not easy to pay it back, but we have to work to pay it back. We would like to do other things, but we need enough money to pay it back, so we can't do those other things. Consider what it would be like to repay that. What would happen? What would that be like? Right? That's what it would be like. This is glad and full of joy. This is what it is. That's what it looks like to be glad and full of joy. Really, it's that good. It will be that good when we do that. We all get to feel that, especially this guy. So, in the same way, you can keep going, don't worry, I'll keep going too. The same way, we have this sense of covetousness, of desire for things. And this desire comes along and says, pay me. You get me that sensual pleasure right now. And we say, okay, here it is. You say, okay, now get me that one. Okay. Here you go. And constantly we can't do the right thing, because instead of that we have to do the thing that's pleasurable. We know what to do, but we can't do it because we have to do the pleasurable thing. I have to do that. I know I shouldn't do, but I have to do it. I have to do it. We can't sustain ourselves, and we certainly can't build up enough joy to sustain anyone else. We're too busy getting. To be free from that is better than what Cameron just demonstrated. We're so joyful. We're free. This desire comes and says, pay me back. And we say, no, I don't have to anymore. It's over. And they say, well, that's true. That's it. It's over. And you're done. Or suppose a man were afflicted, suffering, and gravely ill, sick, diseased, and his food would not agree with him, and his body had no strength, but later he would recover from the affliction, his food would agree with him, and his body would regain strength. Then on considering this, he would be glad and full of joy. Some of us know this. Some of us know what it's like to be sick and to realize that your life is in danger and you're not healthy and you can't do what you want. You don't have strength. You're not able to move, to live the life you hope to live. It's terrifying. But later we recover from that. It's possible that we can recover, and when we recover, our body feels magnificent. We feel so powerful. We feel so happy. We know what this is like to go beyond that and to rejoice in it. In the same way, there is this ill will, hatred, that comes and obsesses our minds and causes a perceptual disease. And we're not able to live the life we want to live because we're constantly subject to this hatred, to this irrational mental state. But wait, we can then recover from that illness. We can become better. And when we become better, we realize, oh, that was an illness. And it's gone. And now I have power. Of course we're glad and we're full of joy to be free of that. Or suppose a man were imprisoned in a prison house, but later he would be released from prison, safe and secure, with no loss to his property. Then, on considering this, he would be glad and full of joy. Of course we would be. Naturally we would be. I don't know if anyone here has had this experience of being imprisoned, of being stuck, unable to move, unable to take care of ourselves as we need to. But maybe some of us have. It is helpless. There's a sense of utter helplessness. We don't have the ability to get what we need. Other people have total power over us. We can't go where we need to. We can't take care of the people we love. We can't take care of the things we've gradually accumulated. We're not safe. We're not secure. But to be released from prison, consider what it's like, have been there, stuck, and then the day you walk out into freedom, into the sunlight. It's magnificent. There's great joy. Great joy. In the same way, we have this sense of sloth and torpor, of laziness. We don't have energy. We're stuck. We don't want to use covetousness and grief, longing and dejection to deal with our problems, but we do anyway. We want to have the energy. We don't want to, have to feel bad. We say, yeah, it's true. I'm sitting on nice cushions and getting plenty of food and I'm exhausted. We don't want that. We want to finish the day energized, excited to do yaza all night. Wouldn't it be wonderful to feel that way? Be wonderful. Oh, here we are. Let's live. Let's live. So exciting. We want to make a change. We make the change. Just like Peace Pilgrim could. She said, well, I want to stop doing this. I just stop doing it. It's the easiest way. And it is the easiest way if you've overcome this. You just change it. Da-dun. Done. Wow. There's gladness and we're full of joy. Or suppose a man were a slave, not self-dependent, but dependent on others, unable to go where he wants, but later on he would be released from slavery, self-dependent, independent of others, a freed man able to go where he wants. And on considering this, he would be glad and full of joy. It's as if there's this constant person coming and telling us, you have to do this and you have to do that. You can't go there. You must go there. People coming and telling us what to do all the time. We have no choice. We have to go there. We can't help it. We don't even want to go there. But we have to do it anyway. We do want to go over there, but we can't. We're not allowed to. But then it's possible that we become free of that slavery. And then we do what we want. We go where we want. We do the jobs we want, not the ones we don't. In the same way, there's this sense of anxiety, agitation that says, you have to be worried about this. We say, well, I don't want to. Well, I don't care. You have to. And then we do. We worry about it. And you have to be concerned about that. Yeah, but that isn't helping my practice. It doesn't matter. You have to be concerned about it. We say, okay, you're right. I have to. And then we are concerned about it. And the hours pass, our life passes, and we spend our time worrying about things we don't even care about. But wait, it's possible to become free from that master. And a thought comes up, it says, you have to worry about this. And we say, no. Just like that. I don't have to serve you at all. There's a sense of freedom, empowerment. It feels wonderful. It's amazing. It's magnificent. This is possible. We can do this. However hard it is, we're worrying about this. We say, oh no, my life is going to be like this. Oh no, it's going to be like that. Because this agitation is telling us you must worry about it. I don't care about you. Same way that a master wouldn't care about a slave. I don't care about you. I don't have to help you. You have to help me. Same way this anxiety says, you have to do this, you have to do that. So we say, okay, I will. But it's not healthy for me. It doesn't matter. You have to worry about it. Say, okay, I have to. You're right. But then we come to the point where we're free of that. And the anxiety comes and says, you have to worry about it. And we say, no, I don't. It says, yeah, but if you don't worry about it, then I'm gonna. And we say, yeah, you're gonna what? And there's no answer. We discover that this agitation, this anxiety, has no real threat. It says, if you don't worry about this, then, say, yeah, what? Then what? And there's just silence. We realize you don't have anything on me. I don't have to do any of that. There's an enormous sense of empowerment. Or suppose a man with wealth and property were to enter a road across a desert, but later on he would cross over the desert safe and secure with no loss to his property. Then on considering this, he would be glad and full of joy. We've come to this point here. We've come to this point in this text. We've finally gotten to the point where we have wealth and property. What does that mean? It's the sati, sampajanya, this mindfulness, full awareness. We've overcome the various other hindrances. We have the ability to live in pure ways. This is enormous wealth and property. And yet, when we go into the desert, we don't know if we're going to lose all that. There's no food, there's no water, there may be bandits who will steal it from us. But maybe we cross the desert, we get through it safe and secure, we didn't lose anything, nothing was stolen from us. Then on considering this, we're glad and full of joy. There was one time, not in a desert, but in the woods here in Vermont, when I got completely lost. And I had no way of getting out, I had no idea where to go. I'd gone jogging, and all I was wearing was shorts and a t-shirt, and it was a late fall day, so it was going to be around freezing. And it was dark, completely dark. And I was terrified. This is when I was a teenager. I was absolutely terrified. I had gotten lost in the wilderness, just like this says. But a search party found me. And I just consider my joy at that moment. I was so cold. I was so afraid. And then I saw the lights and I heard the yelling. And you can imagine it. What do you do? To dance around and jump around isn't even enough. I was so happy and I hugged them and felt, as it says here, glad and full of joy. That's what it's like. Because we enter the desert of views. We think this and we think that, but none of it really makes sense. But we find our way through all that, and we didn't lose our wealth and property, and now we're safe and secure. Because we've overcome this doubt, the doubt that comes from addiction to various views. It's magnificent, and we can rejoice. Please know that this is possible. Each of these hindrances can be overcome. How? When we start searching for sensual pleasures, for covetousness, we realize no matter what I get, it's not going to help. Everything I get is impermanent and is subject to dissolution. It's not really satisfying. And so we can set that aside. And then we notice, as that hindrance arises and as it passes away, we suffer and then stop suffering. We directly notice that the quality of mind, of covetousness for things of the world, is associated with suffering. And to let it go is associated with happiness. And if we bring forth the intentional act of relinquishment, abandonment, we become happy. We have that power. We notice that ill will comes up of itself. It's a quality of our own mind. And we have the ability to overcome it. How? First of all, by intentionally bringing up compassion. We bring up compassion on purpose. Bring it up, there it is. We have compassion, not ill will. And because of that, we can observe the ill will arising and passing away. And we notice that when the ill will arises, we suffer. When it passes away, we don't. We observe this sense of sloth and torpor. It arises. But we can give rise to energy. We have the ability to do that. We have the ability to energize ourselves, to bring forth energy as we practiced. When we do that, the sloth and torpor passes away. And we notice that the sloth and torpor is a source of suffering. When it passes away, the suffering goes away. We want that, and that way we purify our minds of this torpor, this exhaustion. We notice that anxiety arises. A sense of anxiety comes up. And yet, it's possible for us to intentionally bring forth a sense of faith, which is what I described extensively earlier in this talk. Faith, that this has meaning. What I'm going through right now has a purpose. There's a reason for this, and if I get through it, it has value. None of this is wasted. This is useful, not useless. We have faith in what's arising right now. We can bring that up. We have no evidence to the contrary. Each of these experiences has value. We continually bring forth faith in that. Continually move forward on the path. And then we notice that this anxiety arises and passes away. When it arises, we suffer. When it passes away, we don't. Therefore, naturally, we purify our minds of anxiety. In the same way, sense of doubt arises. doubt comes up. But we realize, wait a second here. This is not doubt. There are far bigger problems than this. That brings us to a point of true doubt, real doubt, actual doubt. Doubt about the important things, not the unimportant things. And when we have sufficient doubt about what really matters, all these little doubts about things that we actually already understand become irrelevant and meaningless. In just the same way that we worry and worry so much until something real happens. Yes, we've experienced this sometimes, like when Django got lost in the woods himself. We were all worried about this and that, and then life was in danger, and the whole group set aside all of our little concerns, came together, did what had to be done. Bam, just like that. There was no doubt anymore. This has to be done because this actually matters. It's not like our little squabbles and our little worries about this and that. No, here it is. Let's do it. In the same way, when we have little doubt, little concerns, they shouldn't have said that and I shouldn't have done that. But maybe I should have. I don't know. Should they have? I don't know. Blah, blah, blah. When we come to the point of seeing something real, all that becomes irrelevant. And we can move forward clearly. And we notice that that is actually deeply satisfying. Some people here probably feel a little nostalgic about that time when we were all in such perfect alignment, even though we wish that it didn't take Django getting lost in the woods at night to make that happen. There is a sense of, wow, we really came together. I wish we could do that all the time. There's a satisfaction in that. And we notice that there is not a satisfaction in a constant reiteration of problems that aren't real problems. That's depressing. And so we cut through it and notice that the suffering that arises with it passes away when it passes away. In this way, we have power. We have actual power. We have power to purify our own minds. And with that power, we can find freedom, gladness, and joy.